Well, I'm here and I'm happy to see y'all tonight as we continue with the unsung part two. Uh, yeah, let's go there. There we go. All right. I'm hoping you guys can hear me and hopefully that you're having a wonderful day here on this good Monday night. I enjoyed the 49ers. I did. I really did enjoy that game. And I really enjoyed that game, and hoping I'm hoping that you enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that y'all don't take it personal that y'all been Kansas City's got whooped. I'm all too happy to see that they got whooped, and yeah, I'm all too happy to see that they got whooped. I am all too eager for that. But anyway, I hope you had a good Monday and enjoyed your day as we move forward with the Unsar Part 2. Who is LaMark J. Thomas? And I did this purposely because I want you to get to know me without all of my titles and what I have behind my name of being a successful entrepreneur, being a person of strong character. I want you to get to know me, and I have someone who's going to be coming later and going into the grilling part of me, getting and purging out what you need to know. So I'm just basically covering the unsung part of who I am starting as a kid. I was an average little kid, and being an average little kid, you get in trouble, but nothing major. You get in trouble for not cutting the yard, stopping up the toilets, things good kids do. If you was on the unsung part one, you understood that the unsung part two, one, I'm sorry, told you about how I got burned and the incident that happened in the house during domestic violence and so on and so on. And then you need to go back and catch it up on different platforms. You can go to Facebook, YouTube, and catch the unsung. And then you come down to the unsung two to catch you up. All of this will be brought to one segment. It's just we're doing it in parts to give me a break in between to think about the things that has happened to me as a kid and as a child, so I don't come to you as someone that's making up lies and games for attention, because that's the least thing that I need from anyone is some type of attention. I don't need no type of attention from anyone. I am okay. I love to be alone. I like to be alone and by myself, and I be by myself, but I have things around me that make sure that I am okay. Uh, you have to get to know me and be around me to know what I'm talking about. So as we proceed now, let's get back down to it. We left off at my grandmother passing away at the funeral, and when I stepped into the room a week and a half, 2 weeks later, after I stepped into the room with a Friday night special, getting ready to shoot the woman who birthed me to death. Uh, Let me just revert back to my grandmother, who I love so much and loved me. She instilled the word of God in me. She instilled the Bible. She made me pray at 12 o'clock, even when I was in school, elementary and middle school. I would find myself getting on my knees praying to God at 12 o'clock. This is how much she had instilled in me about prayer and believing in the Son, Jesus Christ. I grew up in the church believing and understanding the Bible very early. I was a church boy. Anybody that knew me from Shreveport, Louisiana, as I'm getting ready to share this with you, knew that I was a church boy. I was at church all the time, but yet going through all kind of chaos in my home. So my grandmother died when I was 12 years old, and she was so much love and joy to me. And I kind of became upset with God. Why did you take her? That's all I had. And so at the age of 12 years old, finally went into my living with the woman who birthed me, and in the house with her back again for tormenting, for her to aggravate me, for her to basically mentally destroy me, physically torment me, and to destroy me. I have had enough over the years, and at the age of 12, I had met a man, and he gave me a Friday night special, and I went there. The gun was loaded, and I stood in her bedroom. We lived at 1706 Peace Street. I'm sorry, Peace Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, on a Road. We lived there, and come down the hallway. They had the one bath, two bedrooms on this side, and the master bedroom here, and then you had the living room when you first come in, and I believe I told y'all that's where I learned to start playing the piano on a green high back piano right there in that house. Right now, if you go there to that house is vacant. I thought about buying that house. I literally thought about buying that house, and it's still on the table right now. I may buy it because during the incident of my burn, and during the intense moment of my life, I grew up in that house, and that house has a lot of history with me. That house has a lot of history. So right there in that circle. So, but anyway, I'm baffling because my mind is rolling backwards and forwards. So this isn't unsung. So I'm trying to give you what I have without having a moment here, if that makes sense to you. You can't go through life and think life won't catch up with you. You will have moments, and when you have moments, it takes a toll on you. All right, so let's move forward. So I grew up in that house, and this is where I stood in that room. So we had an attic fan there. I was sitting behind the curtain. The attic fan was blowing. The curtain was just blowing everywhere. You have to be back in the 80s and 70s to understand what an attic fan is. And when that happened, the fan was blowing. I was hiding behind the curtain because obviously I was 12 years old. Well, 12 years old. And excuse me, and it was just flapping, and I heard my grandmother's voice while standing there with that gun in my hand, with the trigger pulled back, getting ready to pull it, and I could hear, bad as I wanted to pull that trigger, I heard the voice of God said, "Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it." I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Give it to me. Let me have it. And it was the hardest thing for me to do because I wanted to kill her. And I'm saying this to you, and I hope that you that view this later take a perspective walk and understand the damages that you have done to your child. Many of you mothers, you don't know the damage that you've done to your child. And right to this day, they can still have that anger. And we see it on the news that they are murdering their children, and children are murdering their parents, and we're trying to figure out chaos, growing up in chaos. So much has been done. So I couldn't kill her that night. I left there, not trusting in God. I don't want to lie to you like, oh yeah, I trusted in God. I trusted in him. I really did trust him. No, I didn't. It was the God that knew me, that protected her, that protected me in spite of. And so I left there. And I left there and I didn't look back. And I started hanging out in the streets, and different drug dealers were coming along, and cartels and all of this stuff. I knew how cocaine and crack worked. I knew how weed worked, heroin worked. They showed me things and they gave me money. In the process of this, many times I took that gun and I would put a bullet in there and spin it. I took drugs, all kind of medication drugs that I could find to try to kill myself. Because on earth, I didn't want to live. The very thing that I loved the most, the very thing that I loved, had already left this world, and that was my grandmother. Nothing else mattered at that point. I just wanted to die. So I would spin the wheel and put the gun to my head and pull the trigger. You know how hard it is to want to die and can't die? Do you even understand the magnitude of wanting to die and cannot die? I took drugs, tried to overdose, all to just wake up. They bought me all kind of alcohol. I would go and get just drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking until when I wake up, I'm back in the same place I was when I drank it. I took all kind of medication from the hospital that was strong that other people didn't want. I took it and I tried to kill myself. I just couldn't die. And so I went on and did some unthinkable things. I dealt with drugs, selling them. I did some things that I am not proud of. I didn't harm other people. I did things that I shouldn't have done, selling drugs and loving them and leaving them. I did a whole lot. So I was in the car that I had that didn't run. It was just sitting up on the tree on Darius Street in Queensboro, Louisiana. I slept in that car. It was below freezing, but it was mine. And I brought it, and a guy towed it over there and put it under that tree so I have somewhere to lay my head in and eat in and whatever I needed to do. And one particular night I prayed to the Lord. Now, meanwhile, I was going to church on the weekend playing the organ and the drums and the guitar for my Uncle Anderson Tyler The church was called St. James Church of God in Christ. I would not let my uncle and my auntie down because they was the closest thing to my grandmother, which was what my grandmother's sisters, which is my grandmother's fathers. They are the Masons. They are Bishop Charles Harris Mason, the founder of the Church of God in Christ. My granddaddy was his brother. They're both deceased now. Dennis Mason. If you remember some time ago, I posted their pictures online. And so a lot of the history of my family, they don't know and they won't talk about it because it landed some very deep things in the Church of God in Christ when it comes down to people's lives getting threatened over the church. So this is why you don't see much of the Mason family around the Church of God in Christ. And you better believe we have some Masons. My family are some preaching machines, but they'll never be connected to the resource of the Church of God in Christ because of certain things that have went on. And we was told to leave the Church of God in Christ to Jesus, to God. And God gonna deal with every last one of them that do wrong. The Church of God in Christ was not a family church. So we wasn't supposed to get involved and try to save the legacy for the family name and all that. That was against the rules of the founder, Bishop Charlie Mason, Harris Mason. So I went to play the organ for them, and I played for the Church of God in Christ, St. James, and that's where I started at, playing the drums, the guitar. I started with the drums first. And then I went to the guitar. Then I left and went to the piano, from the piano to the Hammond organ. Time grew old. I was sleeping in my car. I prayed to God. I said, I need a church where you can bless me to be a part of and to do your work. And I need your help because I'm homeless. I don't have no food to eat. I'm going from pillar to post. I don't have no good clean clothes. I don't have no shoes. My shoes had holes under the bottom of it. My shoes had all kind of issues with them. Clothes was too big, too little. Couldn't tell you when the last time I had a bath. Anything. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. It was a long time. And so I prayed and I prayed. And so Mother Cooper, she she knew me from Johnson Temple and she knew that I could play enough to carry a church. So she turned me on to Showers of Blessing Ministry. At that time, it was Pastor Ruby Nelson. Since then, she's now Bishop Ruby Pedestal. She's right there in Shreveport. Showers of Blessing Ministry. Very powerful church. She's a preaching machine. If you ever in Shreveport, you might want to look up Showers of Blessing Ministry, and you want to go there. She's very profile preaching machine. She prophesied to me, and she told me that God was going to take care of me and the situation, but I needed it, and I had to be patient. So I started playing the organ for her, and I was making like $75 a month. You better not offer that to no piano player, or you better not even offer that to a drummer. Talking about $75 a month. Man, they ain't taking that one. But anyway, I started playing for her. And sometimes you have to laugh to ease that pain away from you, to ease that hurt away from you. So I'm laughing to keep from really crying. And so I played the organ for her, I think about 2 years and a half. And I would watch them go out to eat. I didn't have any money. I was homeless, had holes in the bottom of my shoes, and I went to that church and I played. I played. The service started on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Sometimes we didn't get through to 2:30, 3 o'clock because we shouted and danced and danced and shout and dancing and dancing and shout and dance. And she would preach. Oh my God, she would preach. I thought the lady had lost her mind every time she got up to preach. And she would just drag us. She would just drag us. She would drag you, man. I mean, you had to be a musician to play for Pastor Ruby Nelson at that time. And again, I want to emphasize she is Bishop Ruby Periscope, and she's still a working machine. She preaching still. She might be sitting down, but she ain't lost a beat. Y'all need to check her out. That's for some of y'all that say I don't believe in uh, women's preaching. I believe in all women preaching. Some things I just don't go with concerning titles, but they can preach. Sometimes they can out preach us men under the table. And she is one of them. They can unpreach you, they outpreach you, and preach you under the table. Just go check out. Don't take me from my word. Go check out Showers of Blessing Ministry in Shreveport, Louisiana. We was right there on Greenwood Road. I get excited because I think about that was a part of the breaking of the turning of who I became and where I am now. Since then, since then, she's still striving. She's still going strong. That I see on the network. All right, so I played for her for years, for a couple of years or more. At $75 a month, I would go and be hungry. There were many Sundays I didn't even eat. I didn't have anything to eat. And we would have church Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, get out by 2:30 or 3, just to come back at 6 o'clock and get out of church by 12, not by 12, no, by 1 o'clock. 12:45, 1 o'clock. We would be bad and late now. Most of the time we got out between 1:30 and 2 o'clock. And then we'll show back up on Tuesday night and have church all over again. It's supposed to be Bible channel. Then we turn around and come back on Thursday. Oh man, we had some church in that church over there on Greenwood Road. We had some church on Greenwood Road until it packed out and got so big until now she's bought a beautiful, phenomenal church building facility down there in Shreveport on Fairfield Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. And so I knew that the struggle was real, that I was doing all I can and doing all I can to try to make it, but I couldn't make it. I just couldn't make it. So I told the Lord, I said, I've been faithful over a few things. You told me to be faithful. I've been faithful. I've been faithful. I've been faithful, God, and you know I've been faithful. But I'm struggling here. I can't eat. I can't do anything. I'm just struggling. And so I prayed in the car. I prayed in the car because some of y'all leave before God place you, and you wrong. You don't leave and then wait on God to place you. You stay put until God place you. You don't leave. That's not the assignment. The assignment is to stay put until He replants you. So $75 a month. If I left, I had zero. I hope it makes sense to you. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So I prayed in the car. I said, Lord, I want you to send me a bishop who will see me for who I am and give me your word. I had just coming out. I'm ashamed to tell you, but I'll tell you no matter what. I had just walked out of Piggly Wiggly on Greenwood Road and Jewel. You that are in Shreveport know what I'm talking about. It's been a Piggly Wiggly a long time ago. Now it's a Super One Whole Food store. I'm sorry. I had been walking the streets, and oh man, it was horrific, man. It was horrific. I was smoking cigarettes then. I was going to church. I was smoking cigarettes, Newports, Benson and Hedges, and Coons 100, Dorel Menthol Lights, Short, all long. What else? I use Salem's. I smoked them. Marlboro. I tried those. Those, it's terrible. Um, what else? I Molly, Polly, whatever you want to call them, cigarettes. I had those, and I smoked the weed. Yeah, I smoked the weed. I used to smoke weed, and I went to church. Now, this is where I really want this to catch many of you pastors that may watch this. I went to church suicidal every Sunday, drugs in my system every Sunday, tore up shoes on, tore up clothes on, looking like don't know what gonna happen to me, and was stinking. Stinking. I mean, I want y'all to hear. I knew I was stinking, but what can I do? So I learned that people can be sitting right under your nose, struggling with life issues, ready to commit suicide. And we as leaders can miss it. Now, I don't want to get into that because I want to stay on my unsung. But this is what was happening to me. I was coming to church, tore up, drunk, high as a kite, full of just got through trying to commit suicide. Just got through trying to commit suicide, but still showed up at Sunday to play the organ. Sunday after Sunday, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, back in the church, playing the organ. I mean, playing it, and I was messed up, ready to die, hoping God would kill me right there in the church. At that point, it didn't even matter if I went to hell or heaven. I was just ready to get out of here. Many of you seen me. You're like, this guy was smiling all the time. This guy, but you didn't know what was going on with me. You had no earthly idea that I was a walking killer. I messed with nothing but married women. So their husband will have shootouts with me, hoping I get killed. I'm going to say it again. I mess with married women, hoping their husband and I would have a shootout, and we did, and somehow God would not let that bullet hit me. And I'm shooting back at them, and God would not let that bullet hit them. You don't know a person's story, the hell and the pain that a person carry day in and day out. You have no clue. And they show up at Sunday morning service, Sunday night service, Bible challenge, midweek service. They are hurt, they are broken, and they are torn down. And they say, well, how in the world do he how he be preaching like that? How come he can preach like that? And he can preach. You don't know the hell I went through. You don't want that, baby. You don't want that. You act like you want it, but you really don't want it. You don't want this. And we're talking about LaMark J. Thomas Unsung Part 2 of who I was. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed after watching them go eat every Sunday and just leave me there. It would be times she would let me spend the night in the church, but I would be so messed up, stinking, that who wants somebody to have the church stinking up and the people got to come there and worship? People would laugh at me. It got so bad I found myself walking down the street talking to my own self. But you want to know what the good part about me talking to my own self? I was quoting scripture. Although I was going through hell, hot water, hungry, living on the street, somehow everything that woman preached kept coming up out of my mouth while going through this hell I was going through. I would get so mad until I would take my head and bump it up against the wall. Quit! I don't want to speak these scriptures. I don't want to talk these scriptures. Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing happened. It's a waste of time. But that word, I thought I was in there helping the church, but that church was helping me. I thought I was in there to play the organ, but the organ was just an open door for me to sit because what he was doing was impregnating me with his word in that ministry. So tonight, while I talk, Bishop, Pastor, Ruby Pedestal, if you're watching, I want to thank you. You are the reason why I made it to the second step of my life. Without you, I sincerely believe I would have been one of the most vigorous, vicious person that ever lived in Louisiana to murder someone. I believe that. Because when I went to go do wrong, scriptures would stop me. And you was always tell me, your grandmother prayed for you. The devil can't have you. Your grandmother prayed for you. And I remember her when my grandmother was visiting and going out on ministries and television parts and radio portion and stuff and visiting. I remember Pastor Bishop Ruby, and I'm giving her titles because that's just follow peace with all men. Um, she was with my grandma, so she knew a lot that went on in my physical household with my the woman who birthed me. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I said, Lord, if you can hear me, I need your help. And he sent the bishop in coming out of Piggy Wiggy. Y'all be patient with me because I'm giving y'all some serious information about me, and I don't want to leave out too much. Yeah, we're actually working on a movie, and the book will follow the movie. So be patient with it. I wasn't supposed to do this, but I'm doing it now. Whoops to do. We're gonna do the movie. The movie's already being worked on as we speak now. And I prayed, and I was coming out of Piggy Weekend on Greenwood Road and Juella, and I had stole them what you call them bars. Y'all remember them what you call candy bars, and I had stole me two of them and some sneakers, and I walked out. And if you remember, there was an Echo truck sitting on the side of that Piggly Wiggly at the corners right there by the cleaners at Greenwood Road and Juella. And I was on my way, and this man got out of his car. He was in a red and white Park Avenue, and he called my name. He said, "LaMark," and I looked over at him, and I turned my head. Then he said, "Marcus." How did man know my name? I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "What you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to take care of myself." And he said, "The Lord told me you my musician." Oh, yeah, here we go. That's the first thing I said was, yeah, here we go. He said, "The Lord saying, you're my musician. My musician is getting ready to leave, and she's moving to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to finish her schooling. And I told the Lord I need a musician." The man said, "Listen, the church is at on Midway and Ferry Street. He said you need to be there on Wednesday night. If you don't, I'm gonna find you. The Lord gonna bless me to find you, and when I find you, they're gonna be your first one and final one. Oh, y'all think I showed up at that church? Nope, I sure did. I sure did, because he said to me, I'm Bishop George Coleman, the Pentecostal Apostolic Church, the Pentecostal Church. All right. I said, okay. I ain't show up. Friday night, that Friday day, that man showed up at the drug house on Alabama Street, right there in Queensboro, pulled up and honked his horn and he said, hey, tell Marcus, I said, come on out of there. I want to talk to him. They came in and said, man, some old man out there in a car said, come out there, you want to talk? I said, man, I want to talk to whoever that is. You know, we take care of the transaction, take care of his business. I want to talk to him. They went back, he said, I want to talk, man. He said, you tell him. I said, Bishop Coleman said, come out here. He came back and said, old man ain't taking no leave, man. You got to go out there and talk to him. The whole boy said, man, look, I'm telling you this right now, man. I'm telling you this right now, man. You finna go out there and talk to that old man, man. We don't want, go out there and talk to him. Go and do what you got to do, then we'll pick this up. So I goes out the door and I'm looking at him. My eyes was like dollar coin. I'm like, what this man doing out here? How he even find me? He pulled up. He walked out and said, I told you I was going to find you dinner. He said, and I told you what the Lord said for me to do. And that was to hire you at the church to be a musician. Tonight we got service. You better be there, because if you ain't there, you ain't got to worry about dying. You going to die. And pulled off. Well, at that point, I was like, man, well, yeah, that'll be my time to die, because I'm ready to get out of here anyway. Now, we up at the age of about 14, because I started playing organ for Pastor Ruben Nelson Telescope at the age of 12. I didn't stop playing for her until I was 14, and I took a job with him. And my homeboy, different friends, my homeboy Ronnie, Adrian. I sit up here laughing because y'all don't even understand how things like this is crazy. But we went on and running Adrian, it got to talk to man. Look at here, man. What you got to lose, man? I said, man, I ain't got no clothes. I ain't got no shoe. I got holes in my shoe. My homeboy running at the time told me, look here, man, I'm gonna give you some clothes to put on, but you going to that church tonight. You going to that church tonight. You going to that church. So went over his house. He gave me a haircut, got me a little shower cleaned up, and he gave me some clothes and heels to put on, some tennis shoes. And then he took me and used Mother Johnson, who I would never forget. And I got a special blessing for her that I'm going to give her. I'm just waiting on, I'm stacking it right now. I'm stacking it. And I don't want to talk about that. I just want to show my love and kindness, because that lady been so kind to me. He took me, she let him use the car, no driver's license now, and let him drove me to the church and dropped me off. When he dropped me off, I went to the church. That's when they were having service, not in the main location, but over in the fellowship hall. They would do that on Friday night service, and I walked in. And when I walked in, I sat at the back, and he saw me. He beckoned for me to come up. I came up on that Friday night and I played. And he asked those people, do you want it? And the whole church stood up and said, yes. Didn't know me from a can of paint. Didn't know who I was. Didn't know nothing. They took me in. That night, when I got through, that man handed me a $300 check. Now, This was in the 80s, early 80s. I see y'all doing y'all mathematics now. I can figure out who LaMark J. Thomas is. Okay, all right. And I went, I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So I got the check and they dropped me off because they didn't know I was homeless. I just told them drop me off on Darren Street like I was going to the house. And Bishop took me home. Bishop put me in his car and took me home and dropped me off. He assumed that that's where I lived at. I went and knocked on the door to the woman who birthed me. And I said, listen, I just started playing for a church. And they gave me this check. I don't have driver's license. I don't have an ID card. I don't have anything to cash a check with. Now I'm giving y'all some of the import. The movie and the book gonna give you more in depth. So I'm just talking. I'm cutting, literally pasting, literally, because it's a whole lot that is left out. But it's to keep you until the book and the movie come out. Well, the movie and the book come out. And so I went there, and that night I was told I can spend the night. I had a $300 check in my hand. And before then, she gonna tell me, where you get this check from? You stole it. You done stole these folks' check. You done did this, you done did that. I never stole nothing from nothing when I was in our house growing up. I wasn't a thief. I didn't become a little petty thief until I became hungry. I didn't go in the store and steal stuff and then go sell it down the road. I went in the store to steal food. What do you think a 12-year-old kid gonna do? He hungry. He asking people for help. They won't help him. He hungry. What do you think a 12-year-old kid gonna do? It's like putting a kid in the candy store and telling him don't eat it. I was 12 years old. You idiot. So she gonna tell me I stole the check, signed the signature, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I was accused so much stuff that I didn't do. It didn't even matter to me if they believe me or didn't believe. I'm just over that point at that time. But anyway, so I had the I had the check. I give it to her. What's his number? What's his number? I said, here's his number here, right here. Call him. She called him on the phone. Hello, who am I speaking with? I remember like sitting there. It was upstairs and upstairs on Darren Street, 3405 Darren Street. It was an upstairs part for just one bedroom. So I guess that was been the master bedroom, went upstairs, and the rest of the bedroom stayed down. So anyway, I went upstairs and I handed her check. She called the man. She called him on the phone. My son, wow, the son part, said you gave him a $300 check. He said, yes, I give him that check. I want him to be my musician, and that check is for him. Is there a problem, or do you need problem with cashing the check or any sort? Or what do you have a problem with that? And I said, and she said, no, I just want to verify. And she looked at me. So you got $300 check. What you do over there? What you do? I said, I played the Hammond organ for him tonight. Oh, okay. Well, you go down there and get you something to sleep. And when you get up in the morning, we're going to go cash this check. I'm going to go down and cash your check for you. So went to sleep on the sofa. Woke up that morning, I'm pacing and ready to go because I don't want to be in this house no more. And I'm waiting on her basically outside. She comes out, we get in the car. We go to Bank One. Y'all remember Bank One over there off of Hearn Avenue? Hearn Avenue, right there by the Super One. What is that? Hollywood Avenue, and it was called Bank One. So we went in that bank. That's what the check was drawn on. And when I come out of the bank, I asked her for my money. Do you know that woman only gave me $50 of my money, talking about she gonna take the rest of my money and put it up? Yes. After all that low down scatterwag mess she did, she gonna take $50 and give me of my money and take $250 of my money and keep it. When you need some money, you just come over to the house and get it. I don't even live with you. I don't even care to be around you. I don't care to talk to you. But that was my only way of getting this check, because you had to have a living parent to be able to do it. So I trusted that. I said, I'm on the street hungry. She take my money and doing whatever she want to do. Next week came. I didn't go that Sunday. Next week came. He said, you didn't show up for Sunday. What happened? I said, well, I didn't have no clothes to put on, and I just didn't make it. He said, well, if you ain't got clothes or whatever, don't worry about it. You just come on like you are, okay? I said, yes, sir, I'll be there from now. I won't miss it. So I showed up for Wednesday night. Wednesday night, Friday night, Sunday morning. I get there for Sunday morning. This man hands me a $1,200 check. I looked at him like he was crazy. Okay. I go back to the same person again. I said, I got another check. I needed cash. She said, well, how much is it? I had told the bishop, can you write me a low amount of check, and you can keep the other part with you. So he wrote me a check for $400 and kept the other $8 with him. And I only took the $4 to her. You got to be smart, people. God orchestrated my brain to operate like that, because I ain't going to be honest with you. It wasn't me. Because I'd have went over there and took her the whole $1,200 check and got ripped off. But that's what she was doing. So went to the bank again. When we went to the bank, she turned around and she did it again. She did it again. She took all my money except for $75 out of that $400, and she kept the $325. To that day, to this day, the $250, the $325, I still ain't got back. And this went on for about a month and a half or 2 months or better. And I would ask her for my money, and she would not give it to me. All of a sudden, a burgundy Cadillac winds up in the yard. I remember this like it was yesterday. And so I got 13 minutes, y'all. I can only do an hour. They gonna shut me down. They gonna shut me down because they don't want me to get overwhelming with this. And it's medically good for me to be able to spread this out. So after I done that, I went to him. He said, what's going on with you? Something is not right with you. You asking me for advances and you got money that you keep putting over to the side. You telling me to keep it. But then what are you doing with your other money? Because back in them days, that's a lot of money. $1,200 one Sunday, $1,500 the next Sunday. Now the church was giving me like $300-400, and he would turn around and write me a personal check on his side for the remaining balance. So the church only knew, and you call Willie Ziegler, who is a very prominent preacher down there in Shreveport, Louisiana. I know the name of the church. He's an apostolic preacher, him and Annette. Lady Annette, Pastor Willie Ziegler, I call him the bishop, and Annette Ziegler. And they have a church right there in Bossier City. They are very prominent people. They're very loving, kind people. But he would handle the money. And he would bring me a check. And I would just look at him. He said, I know Bishop doing something else, ain't it? And I looked at him. I said, I can't talk. He said, you can tell me anything. I said, yeah. He looked at me and just said, Bishop gonna always be Bishop. And me and Pastor Willie Ziegler became the best of friends. So I don't want to get ahead of that. And we're gonna talk about that next Monday night about United Pentecostal Church. United Pentecostals Church, right there on Midway and Ferry Street, where I got the new church on another whole phase and level. She was taking all my money and doing whatever she wanted to do. So Bishop found out. Bishop said she better put that money back or they were going to call the police and get the police involved. Well, she gave me so much. And Bishop asked me, did she give you all the money or partially or some of it? And I lied. I said she gave it all to me. If Bishop had asked me to show it, I wouldn't have been able to show it. That man was getting ready to call the police and with the bank ready to press charges against her for jacking me out of my money. I'm trying to tell you about Shirley Ann Taylor Johnson. That's her name. All my life, she have took from me. All my life, she have degraded me. All my life, she have put me down. All my life, she have defamed me. There is nothing that this woman hasn't tried to do. She told me she tried to kill me in her womb. She told me everything she tried to do to me. And I just would die. And she told me she hated me. But I was a son that had genuine love for his mother. I love my sons. I have sons. And their mothers are so much different with my son than where I'm so glad for the motherly love that my son have from their mother. I'm so happy because I don't want them to repeat what I went through. I don't want them to have an encounter of what I went through, and I'm so happy that they are so close knitted with their mother, that they have an understanding with their mother. And so I I got it emancipated. They begged to take her down there they asked me did I wanted her to go to jail. And I said, just leave her. Just leave her. You see, when a person loves you, they will still try to protect you even though you done them bad. And sometimes it takes years and years for their love to fall off. But boy, when it fall off, you'll never get it back. And it's a sad day for you. I don't hate her. I love her with the Christ Savior Jesus love. I don't want a relationship with you. It's dead. I honestly can say I hate the day that I knew you was my birth person. Because you can't even be called a mom. You can't be called a mother. I have no feelings for you. I have no remorse for you. I don't hate you. I'm just numb to you. There's nothing you can say to me. There's nothing you can do to me. There's no communication that you can bring to me. There is nothing. You can't even repent for what you've done to me. That's all I asked for during the time that I wanted to have a relationship when the time comes. And see, this is the thing, folks. I want y'all to get this. I want you to really get it. I want you to understand. I kept going back, even though it wasn't my fault. I kept going back. I made it my fault because I loved her to the point that I would say, okay, you wrong for what you done to me, but maybe I did cause you this problem. Maybe I did. Until I sat on the sofa with a psychologist and told me, it is not you. You are the victim, and the victim always often feel like it's their fault. Until she told me the truth. And when she told me the truth be told, I almost had a nervous breakdown. They almost had to put me in the psych ward. These are things that not my kids, the church, nobody knows but me. Nobody knows about this but me. Nobody. I can bring the medical records and put them online and show you. I'm not afraid to hide anything. I nearly had a nervous breakdown because the first female that I ever loved was my so-called mom. It wasn't a sexual love. It wasn't a intimate love. It was a love from a female that I solely desired. And so between that age of 12 and 14, the bishop in the United Pentecostal Church helped me get on my feet by emancipating me to be in that outdoor, which they went and got me an apartment. I got my own apartment. I messed around and got my own first car to drive through this church. They got me got me some furniture, turned my lights on, and again, there was a young lady. I better not call her name because I don't know how that's gonna work out. It's my oldest child's mother. And she and I, we on good terms to this day. We on very good terms. We just outgrew each other. And she was living next door, and they was having a lot of domestic violence until a lot of stabbing and stuff was going on over there, and some other stuff. I'm not going to put their business out there because that's just their business. I'm not going to do that. So she was young. She was 12 years old, and I was 14. And she left and came on to one night. It was so bad over there. She came and she asked, she said, can I stay here with you? I said, what you mean, can you stay here with me? You know, over there fighting and cussing and they pulling knives and stuff. I don't want to be there no more. I don't want to be there. I said, where your mom at? And she was telling me some things about the situation with her mom. And I said, well, if your mom says okay, if Faith, I mean, yeah, I mean, I said, if it's okay, I'm okay with that. So she moved in. She and I was going together, talking, going to church together, you name it. That's just who we were. She was going to school, the whole 9 yards. And we didn't entangle until I was 17 and she was 14. That's when we entangled ourselves with each other, living in an apartment. Was we married? No. Did Bishop Coleman know it? Yes. The assignment was not to judge what the person do or doing. The assignment was to give that person the adamant help that God told you to in spite of their condition. Because I asked him, I said, the church is falling out with me because I'm living with this girl in the house and they don't want me playing here. What that name? That woman named Sister Dixon. First day she goes, who shot ta? Who shot ta? Who shot ta? So I told one, I said, "What she talking about? Ain't nobody shot nobody. Just shut your mouth up, woman." I said that out loud in the church. Yeah, I did it. Oh, and she was horrible. She was a horrible person in the church, just horrible. But Bishop knew it. Some of y'all would judge, say, "Well, he knew you were shagging up. What he doing? Condoning that mess, condoning this, condoning." Listen, a pastoral job is to pastor and teach, not get approval. Who's sleeping in who bed and where they going. That's not pastoral. You're looking for a mama and dad. A pastor is to give you the word to keep moving. You are not his child. He'll tell you what time to go to bed, what time to get up. That's not his job. Y'all want the pastor to be more than what y'all want him to be. That's not his job. To tell you what you did and what you can't do. That's not his job. His job was to do what God told him to do. Help me become settled. Get me a place. Put money in my pocket and bless him. And when Bishop Coleman got ready to leave this whole world, Bishop Coleman left here with a smile on his face. You know why he left here with a smile on his face? He had done what God told him to do. That's why I don't judge no members that come into church, because I remember where I was. So, and I'm not going to get off into that. And that happened. That happened. And so we live right there in Central Plaza apartment, right there on not Greenwood Road, Hollywood Avenue and Hearn Avenue, right across the street. And then, but watch this here. Where I cashed my check at, my apartment was right behind the bank, so I ain't have to walk that far or ride that far to the bank. So they helped me get on my feet. They helped me get my things together. They showed me some things, how to become a man. Now, next week, we're going to get off into the apartment, and we're going to get off into this man by the name of Charles Edward Johnson. We're going to get off into him. And we're going to talk about this father figure that was in my life at that time. We're going to get off into that, and we're going to deal with the next step of me playing for some other churches while still playing for Bishop George W. Coleman. And then we're going to go back into the Church of God in Christ, because I played for so many churches right there in Shreveport, Louisiana. They said I can play, but I didn't think I can play at all. But they will call me for revivals, musicals. We're going to get off into all these pastors, and I certainly don't want to leave off Dad Kennedy, who was a very strong inspirational person in my life. Didn't take no wood niggles. We're going to talk about him on next part of Unsung 3 of LaMark J. Thomas, so you'll know who the preachers who I've had encountered came in with training, teaching, and taught me quite a bit. We're going to get off into that, but we're still going to be dealing with the family issues at the same time, because all this started knitted in as I got older. So it went from the age of 12 to 14. We're still stuck at 14 because so much happened at the age of 14, meaning schooling and all that kind of stuff, what was going on and the whole 9 years. So we're going to talk about that. And I promise you guys, I'm going to come back to you guys and give you the things that you should hear. And we're going to move from there. Y'all have a good night. This is LaMark J. Thomas, Unsung 2. And we're going to put all these clips together. And it's probably going to be about an hour or 2 hours. We're actually going to be probably about 6, 7 hours, because so much to tell. And I don't want to run it all together and only give you pieces, but give you good cut and paste. Is that all right? All right. Love you guys much. I gotta go. They pushing me off.
Welcome to EEFI Television Networks. Scan the QR code for more information. Thanks for watching.